a good baseball night last night. Let's start with the Mets, who turned back the Twins, and the Twins now have the Indians a little bit nipping at their heels. They're now five back in the loss column. The Indians are red hot, are 13 games over 500. They've done a wonderful job, led by, I think, the best manager in baseball in Francona. Um, they've done a very good job. So whether this propels the Twins to make a move, maybe a bigger move than they thought, will be interesting. Now, I think the Twins are in good shape, no question. They got a good team. But Cleveland is making a big run at either a wild card or still not out of the division race at five back. Oakland also remaining very hot, won their fifth straight, and have moved within four in the loss column of Houston. So that race that was considered to be over long ago now is only four in the loss column. And when it's four in the loss column, it's a race. You know, the Yankees right now have an 8-game lead in the loss column. That's a whole different set of encyclopedias than being four in front in the loss column. So right now, Oakland and Cleveland putting pressure on the front runners in the American League, which could make things very interesting. The Giants won again last night with a late rally. This is a team that couldn't hit for a long time, been hitting a lot of late. So right now they're a hot team. They won their fourth in a row. They're only 3 games under 500. So they are continuing to move up. Does that change their opinion of things? I don't think it will as far as Bumgarner goes, but we'll have to wait and see because right now they are a red hot team. As we said to the game, it was a very big night for the Met bullpen. They got 5 scoreless innings. They gave up just 3 hits. The bullpen was managed expertly last night. You got to give credit where it was due. So last night, one of the rare nights where the headline is that the Mets bullpen was able to maintain a lead. And, you know, it's been few and far between, but whether you start with Gesellman, the one big out Familia got, Wilson, Lugo, and then a shaky ninth for Diaz, but he got the job done. It wasn't easy. Sure wasn't easy. And it looked like it was going to implode again, but he didn't. And despite giving up a walk and 2 hits, he did get out of there with the pop-up. That was cradled by Frazier at third base, and they get the win 3-2. So a good win for the Mets, who have won 3 games in a row, which is going to keep them feeling very good about things. Also a good game for Conforto, who we've been talking a lot about. 4 hits last night and a good catch. So a big game for him in a night where the Mets have not at least a rare night when they did not hit. Now, one thing I can see coming a mile away, I can see the train coming a mile away, and just be realistic about it, okay? He was going to cool off a little, but Alonso has cooled off of late. And if it continues, it's going to be that the home run derby messed him up. Let's give that a long, long look before we make that proclamation. Any big slugger can go into a slump, and he's not really in a slump. He's 5 for his last 25, so it's not like it's any overriding slump yet, but I can see the last couple of games have been quiet ones for him, and I can see people already getting ready to rustle on that one and jump on that one. Be careful. Let's give that one a little room before you jump. You know, it's not unusual for a guy to have a couple of games where he doesn't hit, especially a big slugger like Alonso. To the Yankees, and it's funny, there was a little bit of playoff atmosphere last night in that game, in the middle of the game, where the young guys on the Rays got into it with CC a little bit. CC is so beloved on the Yankee bench and so beloved on the Yankee team that gets the team riled up. I thought the team did get a little riled up last night. I thought there was a little bit of an attitude adjustment in the middle of the game where it got a little feisty, and then the Yankees did what they do. And that is they exploded. LeMahieu hit the home run in the 6th to make it 3-2, and he's been the guy who has been there all year. And then 2 guys who I think are going to be very prominent the rest of the way for the Yankees jumped into action. Judge, who is just finding his best stride, uh, and I think is going to be a big factor the rest of the way. Hit his home run to take the lead, and then Didi, who has been struggling mightily, put the icing on the cake with the grand slammer. So the Yankees put up a run in the sixth to edge closer, and then six in the eighth. The two-run homer by Judge, the grand slammer by Didi, and that put the exclamation point on the evening. It was almost like Tampa kind of, they nudged the bear with a stick a little bit, and that was not a smart idea. The Yankees answered in a very big way, in a dominant way, and went on to an 8-3 victory, having trailed 3-1 after 5 innings, or 3-1 going to the bottom of the sixth, I should say, because the Rays scored in the sixth. The Yankees turned it around and used the long ball to do it, which is always their most devastating weapon. So was a good night for them in that regard, a good night for both teams. So the Yankees now, you can take a deep breath, Yankee fans. The Yankees are now back 8 games in front in the loss column. And the Mets, if you want to believe, and some of you Met fans do, that this team has still got a run in it, well, it's won 3 games in a row in this very, very wild National League wild card. The Mets are 5.5 games out of the wild card. That's it. Now, they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 teams are ahead of them. But that is everybody except the Marlins. They are all the way at the bottom of the wild card bracket, except for the Marlins, who are 12.5 back. They are 5.5 back. Everybody is ahead of them. Cincinnati, San Diego, Pittsburgh, San Francisco, Colorado, Arizona, St. Louis, Milwaukee, Philadelphia, Washington, you name it, they're all ahead of them. But it's only 5.5 games, and if you can put together a 7 or 8 game winning streak, as the Giants have just showed you by winning 9 of 11, they can propel. You can come from all the way from the back of the pack to where you're just like San Francisco is right now, just 3 games behind the wild card. So with the Giants having won 4 straight, 9 of 11. That is how they have propelled themselves into that. So if the Mets can get a real winning streak, and right now it's 3, as they get ready to play this evening's game, that right now it's 3 games. The Mets will play this afternoon with Vargas against Perez at 1 o'clock. The Yankees will be back in action this evening with Herman on the mound as they take on the Rays again and try to open some more room in this race, which I think is exceedingly comfortable. Saratoga reopens today. They raced Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Now they will begin their first full week of racing. There will be 7 weeks of racing coming up. It wasn't a bad opening, a couple of days for the racetrack. It'll be interesting to see how quickly it becomes and gets the feel of normal Saratoga in terms of crowds and everything else. It'll be very, very warm this weekend. We've already talked about that everywhere in the Northeast. We'll see if that impacts. We're expecting 100 degrees in New York on Saturday, and they're expecting 99 degrees at the track on Saturday. That might finish racing. Anything over 98 might finish racing on Saturday. It's going to be down to 92 on the track on Sunday. In New York, it's going to be 97 on Sunday, but it's going to be 100 degrees. 90 on Friday. It's going to be 100 on Saturday, and it's going to be 97 on Sunday here in New York. A little bit less up there, but if it gets close to 98 or more, they really start to think about the animal. It'll depend a little bit on the THI overall, but there's a chance, and I have seen it happen, that they've canceled racing there. So it's not out of the question. Saturday would be the day to just beware, because that's when the temperatures are supposed to escalate, where it's supposed to be 100 in the city and could hit 100 at the track in Saratoga. And Saratoga, despite where it's nestled in the foothills of the Adirondacks, can be very, very warm. Very hot when it gets a heat wave. They get their weather in intense doses in Saratoga. It can get very cool very early. It can get very hot. The thunderstorms can be extremely violent. So the weather there is extreme. It can get very, very warm at the track. Take that into account if you're heading to the track on Saturday, and just make sure they're racing on Saturday.